Hello, hello. How's it going, Facebook fam? Welcome to Jessica Payne Live, a special edition. I'm your host, Jessica Payne. Welcome, welcome. If you're joining me live, come on in, have a nice, lovely seat, grab a coffee, grab a cocktail. It's 4 p.m. Los Angeles time, Pacific time. So maybe you are in a totally, completely different time zone, and that's okay. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching me on the replay, thank you, thank you. I know there's many of you who are interested in joining today. You're going to try to join a little later. You're going to try to join and follow up after the replay. If you're joining today and join me on Tuesday, thank you, thank you. Today is kind of a part two to Tuesday's broadcast, which if you follow the show, you know I go live every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific here in Los Angeles. I did a special episode on Tuesday talking about live streaming. I shared 3 myths and 3 tips. I think I ended up sharing like 5 myths and like 5 tips, whatever. Today is kind of going to revisit some of that, but I got a few questions since then. And so today is going to kind of echo that, but also build on it, because I've been getting a lot of questions around live streaming, but specifically, think about it more of like real-time storytelling. A lot of people have questions about it. I'm launching a new course, Live Show Mastery, which I'm going to talk about at the end of today's live episode and answer questions there. But so it's questions around that because folks know I'm launching this course. I want to know a little bit more about it, if it's right for them. And then obviously these are residual questions I get just as a result of the show. So I thought I'd dedicate the next, 45 minutes or so to sharing with you some tips and tricks and stats about why you might want to consider using live content. When I say live content, I mean live streaming. I mean jumping on Facebook and going live. I mean using stuff like Facebook stories, stuff like Instagram stories. Maybe you're on Twitter, you use Periscope. It's all same. So when I say live, I mean more real-time content because you might have heard that Facebook a couple weeks ago has been making some changes. That kind of is the genesis of a huge amount of interest right now. I've never seen so many questions around Facebook, but I like it because it allows me to host episodes like this, answer a few questions, and it's great feedback because it shows that you, if you care about your brand or your business, you're paying attention. You understand that, hey, Facebook has made some changes. Maybe I want to make sure that I at least know what those are if I want to make sure that my brand is relevant. And it kind of focuses on 2 major challenges that I get from folks. They feel like they are spending a lot of time on social media for their brand or business. Maybe they're a community manager. They spend a ton of time, and I spend a ton of time on social media, and they've noticed that maybe their numbers have gone down. You might be just starting out and wonder why people aren't seeing your content. So there's a lot of questions around why. And so today I'm going to walk you through basically this pivot that Facebook has made. But basically, it's going to be highlighting what you should probably think about going forward if you want to see your numbers return or if you want to start out the gate really, really strong. Because if you're like me, you want to spend less time on social media because, I don't know, you've got other things to do like run a business. And make your customers happy, and you want better results, right? So you want to maximize every second you put on social media, right? So that's kind of like, that's my jam. That's what I'm going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to talk about live streaming behind the scenes, and I'm going to do a brief Q&A at the end. So ask me questions if you have at one point or whatnot, but I'm just going to plow right through. And again, if you're watching me on the replay, just watch this whole thing because it's got a lot of content that I'm going to revisit from Tuesday, but also just sort of pack right in, okay? So the first thing I wanted to walk you through was kind of, let's start at the basics. A lot of people have questions around live streaming, and I kind of forget that not everyone kind of knows what it is. So let's talk about what live streaming is. What is live streaming? I talked about it just now briefly. Live streaming is anytime you go online, typically on Facebook, or any other app like Instagram or Twitter, and you are actually broadcasting live to that app. So it's different than posting a photo or posting maybe a picture that you might have done in the past. It's kind of different than that. What else? let's say you are, the closest I could say to going live would maybe be if you've tweeted in the past, because that's probably as close as you can go to going live. But when I say live, for the purpose of this episode, think about it as it's sort of non-planned. You're not using Hootsuite. You are present. You are typically in front of the camera, or you are live broadcasting whatever is happening as it happens in real time. Unless you're doing something like a story, which typically is captured in real time and then posted maybe 5-7 seconds later. Does that make sense? So live streaming for the purpose of this episode is essentially that. Now, you've probably seen live streams. You can think about it as, let's say you don't do a live stream yet, but if maybe you've watched some. They're pretty popular now. A lot of breaking news, local channels are starting the live stream press conferences. Like if there's breaking news and an update, you might recognize that red live notification that pops up on your phone, or maybe it's on your screen. That is a live stream. Okay, but now more and more people, not just media or big brands, we now have access to this fun medium, live streaming. So you might have noticed some things cropping up in your Facebook feed that have people talking to the camera, and maybe they're reviewing beauty products, or they're having a casual one-on-one, or maybe you belong to a group, a mentoring group, and you're seeing people actually talking to the camera or demonstrating something, and it's live. That's live streaming. Maybe you're over on Instagram and you see the live notification pop up, and maybe one of your favorite celebrities is doing a quick Q&A. That's live too. Same thing happens on Twitter, okay? So that's live streaming. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to be a big global brand with a ton of money and pay for a service to go live. If you have one of these, the latest Facebook app or Twitter app or Instagram app, and a strong internet connection, you can go live, which is a beautiful thing. That wasn't always the case, okay? So that is kind of myth number one, is I have to be a big brand or have a ton of money to go live. You don't. You just need, like I said, one of these, a smartphone, a strong internet connection, and the latest app. And I always say the latest Facebook app because that's typically where we start, but you can go live on Instagram and Twitter. And there are a ton of other places you can also go live too, but I'm gonna focus primarily on that. Is that helpful? So what is live streaming? Now that you know a little bit about live streaming, I think the next question I get the most is, why the heck should I even care? Now, maybe you don't have to. If you don't run a business or a brand or organization where social media strategy isn't important, then you probably don't need to care. It might just be a fun way for you to just, the next time you're on vacation, or the next time you want to watch your favorite celebrity, you might just use it from a plain fun consumer perspective. So maybe you don't need to care. I mean, if anything, I think you should care because that's the way the trend is going, but care enough to at least try it out, because I think you'll love it. But why should the rest of us care? Okay, so if you run an organization or a brand or a business, if social media is important and you know that it's an important and powerful tool for you to find customers or engage with their audience, you need to care about live streaming. And let me just kind of back this up by the easiest argument to make. And this goes back to what Facebook did a couple of weeks ago, okay? The data is now backing up the fact that Facebook, you could say the same for Instagram, actually is pushing forward, promoting live content. As I like to say, it loves when you go live. Basically, it's a new feature. They want to keep people on the app, and so they kind of reward people like pages, like group admins, like profile users who use Facebook Live, because they're like, this person is keeping more Facebook people on Facebook. Okay, so that's layman's terms. So Facebook's algorithm prefers when you stay on Facebook. And when you're streaming live, you're kind of keeping your audience on live on Facebook with you. So it rewards it. And the beautiful thing is it'll start to push your page out. You'll start to appear in more people's feeds again. So if you've been noticing your engagement drop, or like, nobody's seeing my content anymore, live streaming is great because Facebook loves it. The algorithm's like, it actually promotes that over other content. So if you just want to do a Hail Mary and just try this out for the sake of like trying to get more eyeballs, there's nothing really stopping you from going live. It wouldn't hurt, okay? So that's kind of around sort of the first myth. Now, one other thing I should point out, Facebook not only cares now whether or not you keep people on their app, they also prefer and reward pages, groups, and profiles that drive conversation. That was kind of the bigger news that came out. And why am I focusing on Facebook? Because probably the majority of you are watching, you're on Facebook if you're watching me, although you may be watching me from YouTube. But also it's important to know that Facebook, that going live on Facebook is the perfect tool if you want to drive conversation, because you have comments when you go live. And really successful brands know that live streaming is a perfect opportunity to keep people on Facebook, keep people on your group or your page or your profile, and you're going to start to see those likes and hearts fly up. You're going to start to get questions, and boom, you're starting to drive real-time conversation. And Facebook algorithm prefers this. So that's why I've noticed since I started going live on Facebook, my engagement, I'll talk about the numbers in a bit, my engagement's up 130%, my reach went up by 10x. It's insane. The proof is there now. The numbers are there now that Facebook prefers live. So that's why you should care about going live. So another myth is that it's really super difficult to go live. It's not. Like I said, if you have one of these, a smartphone, and the latest version of the Facebook app and a strong internet connection, you can go live with just a few taps. You just go right into your status. You've probably already done it. Try it on your personal profile. You tap like you're going to make an update, and you'll see a little live button. You hit live. You can even give it a headline, choose a frame. You're live. You can go live within 10 seconds. This wasn't always the case. So again, it's not difficult. I have a webcam. I'm using a dashboard right now, which is why you might see some graphics coming in. That's not mandatory or required. So it's actually super easy. Another kind of version of how hard is it is if you've ever been on a Zoom call or a Google Hangout or a FaceTime, it's kind of similar to that. Like in terms of the feel and the mechanics, like you're live. So that's how easy it is. All right, you with me? I'm plowing through these because I've been capturing you. I have about 10 kind of questions and myths I'm going to go through. But again, this is all just to kind of hopefully answer your questions. If you have a ton of questions around live, watch this whole episode and just kind of go through those questions and allow me to help answer them for you, all right? And maybe you'll walk away from this going, you know what, live is cool, but it's not right for me. At least you have that clarity, because I tell you, I get a ton of questions every single day. People worried like, am I missing out? Should I go live? Should I? And we have the same conversation. So this is really for you, okay? Hey, Chris, how's it going? Chris Hewlin in the house. I see you there. Thanks for the like, appreciate that. All right, the second, another question, again, I'm gonna plow right through it, is this is probably the biggest myth. It was one of my excuses when I first started. Now, okay, what if nobody shows up? That is probably the number one question I get, which is kind of a challenge. When you tell me that, I hear loud and clear, you're worried. You don't want to waste time. You don't want to look foolish. You know, it's intimidating. You know, I'll watch live streams now and it's like, yeah, some of my episodes will pull in around 6,500 views, but my first views were big old goose eggs. Like, I started at 0. Everybody starts at 0. My first couple episodes, I had only a handful of viewers. You know, my mom was one of my first viewers, loyal fan. And, you know, but I knew just to stick with it. I almost liked, so here's the thing. I almost liked that I didn't have any viewers because I knew that I could kind of mess up a little and play. So as an introvert, I actually loved that. But like anything, consistency, right? ABC, always be consistent. The more lives I did, the more consistent I was, I watched my viewers grow. So this is kind of a half truth. You may not pull in anybody for your first couple of episodes, but you will if you stick with it. Just like anything else, you know, since we learned in school, if you're consistent, you know, it'll improve. And I guarantee you'll probably be pulling in viewers sooner than you think. And that's a whole other ball of wax. It's like, oh gosh, I'm actually pulling in viewers. Like, it was super scary. Like, if you look at my first couple episodes, my hair was big and I was sweaty and it was a totally different background. I was like blending in, like my white skin was like blending into the white paint on my wall. And I was like, they can't even see me. I was like totally clips of my face, you know, in the sun. The volume was off. I didn't even have an intro or an outro. I was really just in it to play. So again, I kind of liked how I didn't have a viewer. But then they grew and I was like, okay, I need to get legit. Okay, so what if nobody shows up? They might not show up the first episode, but they will if you're consistent. So that's myth number one. Let's tackle that right now. They will show up. All you need to do is look at any live stream happening right now. They all get views. And that's because, again, Facebook is like, it pushes live streams out beyond your followers too, especially if you're on like a Facebook creator app, which I'll talk about later, okay? Big myth, big challenge. For me, this was one of my biggest and best excuses. And then I realized, you know what, they do show up. But I want to just acknowledge it because this is probably the number one thing that keeps people from trying it out. And it's like, guys, you won't know unless you try, right? So I'm not going to force feed you, but if you're interested, why not? Why not try and just do a live? I think you'll see that more people are actually going to find you than you think. Okay, so viewers will show up, and that's only if you're consistent. Okay, all right. So another myth, and I addressed both of these on Tuesday. Like, this is an equal worry. I want to honor it. It's a big challenge. It's most people freak the heck out with that idea of being on camera, and I totally understand it. Now, if you never want to be on camera, live streaming is not going to be a fit for you. I'll say that right now. But if you're just saying that because you're kind of worried that you kind of don't know how to do it, that's different. I mean, if you never want to be on camera and it's a firm no, live streaming, I'll say embrace other mediums. We'll talk about Facebook stories in a bit. That might be better for you. But here's the thing. You've already been on camera a lot more than you think. Again, if you've ever been on a Google Hangout, Zoom, GoToWebinar, whether professionally or personally, maybe you FaceTime. If you FaceTime with your kids, FaceTime with your grandkids, your parents. If you've ever Skyped an interview, I'm sorry, but you've been on camera, and that's really all the training you need, as long as you've been, you had poise and you're at least in a professional setting to get started on live. So a lot of us, again, spend a lot of time on these, FaceTiming, Skyping, we're on WhatsApp, we're communicating, we're sending, Snapchat filters in high-pitched voices. You are constantly on camera, and you are constantly reaching out and engaging. So again, chances are you are great on camera. It's just with anything, with practice, just think about this as a delivery. Now, the cool thing about Facebook Live is, and I know where this fear comes from, we automatically assume it has to be perfect. We have these visionaries like Johnny Carson or Walter Cronkite or, modern popular, personalities like Ellen or Jimmy Fallon. It's like, you don't have to be perfect or that sort of broadcaster. Like, I didn't join news for a reason. I'm not a news anchor. And a lot of us run our own businesses. We didn't go to school for news broadcasting. Your live doesn't have to resemble that. People come to Facebook to exchange ideas, to converse, to have conversations. And while this is kind of a pointed one-on-one where I'm kind of directing my conversation at you, you'll notice on my show, I actually feature a lot of guests. So it circles around this whole idea of conversation. Your live stream is about conversation. So if you think about that and all the possibilities that opens up for you on camera, then you might want to consider it. All right, but you've already been on camera. I hate to break it to you, but that's, just think about it. And again, let's say you're still a little worried about being on camera. Maybe there's someone in your organization who is actually a little bit more comfortable being on camera. That's what I always like to say. So don't write off live streaming for your organization or your brand if you don't feel comfortable. Maybe there's someone else. A question I always like to ask people is, just ask yourself, am I the right messenger? And however you answer that might just mean, okay, I am, I just need some practice, or no, let me find someone who is. And you kind of move directly by this myth, okay? So those are two powerful myths. So we just eliminated those and we're moving forward, okay? All right, all right, I want to address now, because by now you're probably wondering, okay, it's nice to know live streaming is powerful. Obviously, Jessica, you like it because you have good numbers. You're obviously, you've launched a course, yeah. But if you're like me, you want to see the hard stats, okay? You want to hear the numbers. So let me just take a minute and walk you through why I even care about this. because if it wasn't successful, I wouldn't even be talking about it. Okay. So since I started live streaming, meaning since I started using mostly live streaming on Facebook, although I've gone a few times on live on Instagram, I've absolutely witnessed my engagement increase. About 6-7 months ago, I tell people I was ready to quit social media. And you have to understand, I'm a social media strategist. This is my bread and butter, but I was just sick and tired of watching my engagement drop. So maybe you feel me on this. For my clients, everything was great. But for my own brand, I was like, maybe I'm just going to focus on my clients. Maybe I'm just going to focus on website development. Like I'm tired of seeing my numbers for my Facebook page for my business just not going anywhere. And this was before we knew what was going on over at Facebook, but it didn't mean that I wasn't seeing like my engagement was at like, it was Deadsville. And I was putting out great content. I was linking to popular videos and articles. I was using graphic design, didn't matter. It was just totally flatlined. So here's what I want to kind of walk you through, just the numbers. Since I started live streaming, I've noticed a few kind of hard fast changes. The first one that I'm the most psyched about is since live streaming, I've noticed my engagement was boosted 130%. I now drive daily conversations. And I'm watching all this through my insights and analytics. These aren't just made up numbers. These are hard and fast from my actual Facebook insights, okay? My engagement went up 130%. It was dead. It was flatlining. And now it actually built upon and is even more and sustainable, which if you care about your time on social media, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're investing your time, right? So these are hard results. I'm not saying you're gonna reach 130% engagement right off the bat, but it's something to shoot for, and I'm going to tell you, like, it not only is something to kind of lean into every day as seeing it work, but I also know that it took a lot of hard work. So, but again, 130% increase is what I witnessed, and then my boost, my reach, I noticed, because again, Facebook loves when I go live, I started to reach more and more people. And as a result, so I not only increased my engagement, when I say engagement, I mean likes, comments, shares on the page, but also my reach. I started to pull in new people, and that resulted in more followers, more likes. Like I was seeing it week on week. I was earning more likes and followers than I had when I was running an ad campaign, just as a residual effect of my life. So it was amazing. All right. So these are hard, fast numbers for you just to understand. I wouldn't be here kind of preaching about it if I didn't achieve this success. Oh, hey, Rebecca, how's it going? Hi, Lambo, you rock. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I'm just over here preaching about my lives and my engagement. Rebecca Sekulich, if you are in the LA area and you are looking for an amazing realtor, I roll deep in realtors. She's amazing. Reach out to me. I get requests for realtors every now and then, so reach out because she's as good as they get. Thanks for the support. All right, so 130% engagement and 10x boost in reach. I can't lie, those are the numbers, and I do monitor that week after week and month after month. But that's been the hard, fast rule. So I've seen my engagement go up and stay up. Okay, so if that's a major worry for you, again, this is all live streaming. Other things that have happened have been amazing. Obviously, the first thing you're going to ask me is like, okay, but have you made any money off of it? I'm going to tell you right now, I've had guests on my show become clients. I've had partnership opportunities come through my show, people that only heard about me through my show, people that didn't follow my page before, but they discovered me, right? Because Facebook pushed me out in front of them. I've gotten referrals from guests. I've gotten referrals from clients who caught the tail end of my show and referred another client. So it's absolutely, I wouldn't be here talking about it if there wasn't any sort of boost to my business, okay? So it's one thing to get engagement, but yes, it is now a trusted source of revenue for my business, okay? So again, those numbers might not match up to yours. You might not get partnerships right away. You might not get referrals right away, but I'm telling you, it's kind of a natural byproduct of going live because it's a marketing tool, okay? And this is probably the thing that I'm the most proud of, right? So I'm not only getting engagement, boost reach. These numbers, you can check them out. Like you could see my growth. The money and the revenue stream coming in is fantastic. It's a huge confident booster, right? Because it's a lot of work I'm putting in. But I know I'm doing all of this and I'm spending less than a third of the time I spent before on social media. So for me, as a busy business owner, this is equally important to me as the money I'm making. And to you, this is probably even more important because social media is my world. Okay, so I'm on social media all day, but I didn't want to be on social media all day for my business. I just wanted to make sure that where I concentrated my efforts, I was having the biggest return. And so I compared month on month, week on week, and I'm now spending a third of the time on social media. It's tidy, it's tight, it's planned. I've got my one show a week. I've got a few other things I'm doing to promote it. You know, I refined it week after week, and now I spend less than 2 hours a week on my social media, and I'm getting 130% more engagement and 10x reach. Can you imagine that? So if you're spending a ton of amount of time on social media and you're not getting anything, again, it's probably because of the type of content or whatnot. This is great. The one thing about my show that I love it keeps me consistent, and that's really the secret to social, okay? So if you don't care about anything else except the time maybe that you feel like you're wasting on social, this is a good way to keep you really, really disciplined. I don't know about you, but I need like a lane to be in. I need like a clear set of cones, right? All right, so those are kind of the biggest things that I wanted to talk with you about. Those are the biggest myths. I literally have them written down here because I got a ton of questions about it, and building off of Tuesday. So hopefully by now you know you might be asking questions whether or not live streaming is right for you. If those things stand out to you, if you want to spend a third of the time you're doing on social media and get bigger returns. Here's the thing. If you're still worried about whether or not you should go live, here's what I want to sum up for you before we go on to the next step. If conversation is a key part of how you sell your product or how you forge relationships, or how you promote your practice or even work with customers, live streaming is a huge opportunity for you. The cool thing about live streaming too is once you go live, I should say, like on Facebook, it'll stay on Facebook. A really amazing statistic, if you're worried about that live, is 3/4 of live views actually happen on the replay. So maybe that makes you actually relax a little, not worried so much about the live. Again, it's like, oh, phew, only a third of you are watching, or a fourth of you are watching right now, but 3/4 of views on lives actually happen on the replay. It doesn't mean that those are valuable conversations. So one trick I do is I treat my lives like replay, and I cater to both audiences. Okay, but it's amazing. So sort of like you go live, you walk away, and then it's so great to see conversations pop up later that night, the next day after that, and you're keeping this conversation going. And guess who loves that? Facebook, because you're generating conversation day after day after day, and it just kind of self-perpetuates. It feeds on itself. It tells Facebook you're a powerful page, it'll promote you more, then you get more conversation, then you get more viewers, et cetera, just for one live, just for one 60-minute moment of your day. Does that make sense? All right, so, and again, if you are kind of wondering whether or not you're the right person to go live, think about if creating conversation is generally how you drive your sales, or you create leads or demonstrate your expertise, then lives are great for you. And that's why you see people like, I've seen everything from realtors presenting annual data to healers to people who are reviewing makeup, literally makeup demonstrations. It's a highly visual medium, a highly visual thing they're doing on camera. Lives are perfect for that because they can take questions in real time. That's that really secret sauce to why lives are so great. If taking questions and answering questions is something you really excel at, that helps you sell yourself and promote your business, and this isn't just sales. If you run a nonprofit and run a Q&A, that's why celebrities do Q&As all the time. It's just a great way to engage in real time. And of course, if people can't join you, they can still post their comments. That's why lives are great. Does that make sense? So hopefully I've converted one or two of you. How's everybody doing? It's a lot of information. And of course, I know a lot of you are going to join me after the fact on the replay. So just continue watching through. I'm going to wrap up in a couple minutes. But hopefully, if you're coming in right at this point, live, rewind, can I even say rewind if it's a live, on the replay, and you can get kind of an understanding of what lives are. So let me go on to the next kind of chapter and walk you through kind of one of my obsessions right now, and that is Facebook stories. Now, I bring up Facebook stories for a few things because chances are you've probably already tried it. I call this kind of the gateway to live storytelling, which is what live streaming is. It's just live storytelling, you know, for a quarter of your audience and then 3/4 later. I love Facebook stories. If you go to my page today, you'll see if you jump on your phone, and I'm actually going to, if you've never gone on stories before, I'm actually going to show you where they sit. You've probably seen it. Facebook stories are extremely powerful. And you probably saw these if you use them on Instagram. They're the little like 10-second video vignettes or text vignettes that you can kind of tap through. I love them. And I call them scrapbooking because you could put stickers on them, frames and whatnot. I absolutely adore them because it's almost like live streaming because you capture something and then maybe 10 seconds later you post it. I think it's an incredibly powerful tool, but I actually know it's a powerful tool because here are a few things. And you might want to consider Facebook stories if you're a little nervous about live. That's why I'm talking to you about it. Because if you can do Facebook stories with confidence, you can do Facebook Live. It's just one slightly different animal. Does that make sense? You see my strategery here? All right, so here is my Facebook, my mobile app. Okay, anytime you log into Facebook, you see those circles up top, and you'll notice the same thing happens on Instagram. Okay, it's the first thing you see when you log into your Facebook app. You tap the app, it opens, and then you're met with this home screen, and you'll always see the first couple circles. Those are stories, which also occupy the same exact space when someone goes live. So think about that. The majority of people who use social media use it on a mobile device. We know this. We're totally distracted. We're doing 10 things at once. We're feeding our kids. We're watching Scandal. We're trying to relate to our spouse. We're trying to have a text conversation at the same time. Okay, we are totally distracted. Or maybe we're at lunch and we're literally walking down the hallway to our desk and we have 2 seconds to check our phone. Okay, it's like it's not an isolated thing. We're distracted. But it's amazing if you think about, so in those 10 seconds or so where we're making our decision whether or not to hang out on Facebook, the first thing we see are those little circles. We will always see that. So if you think of it, that's like a billboard in Times Square, if you think about it. So if you have a story, or if you're going live, that's why they work. That's why they're so powerful. I read a stat recently, 80% of people are switching to video, and I think stories are a part of it. There's a reason why stories work. So let's talk a little bit about stories. So if you follow my page and you open up your app, you'll see a story today from me that points to this broadcast, and it uses a fun frame and little call to action. This is a super secret squirrel strategy. So again, if you don't go live streaming after today, or if you're not really interested in my course, that's totally fine. But if you try one thing today, do this. The next time you have something really super important on your page or in your group or on your profile that you want to like get people to see, they're probably not going to see it even if they follow you in the feed, because again, Facebook's making that really competitive. So why don't you do a really quick story? Because that's what people are going to see almost every time. I guarantee you, because not everyone is really caught on that that's like a really good strategy to use. And B, it's like you're only competing with basically every other peer your audience follows who have just done a story. So in layman's terms, it's like it's your best bet to do it. So here's what I do. Think of it as kind of like a fishing lure. It's a shiny object. If you have a really important video or post that's on your page, this is a strategy I use just for today. So if I have a live episode going soon, or I have a really good post, or when I announced that I was launching my course, I do a quick series of Facebook stories, and I'll put a little, like, sometimes they're a video, sometimes they're a text, sometimes they have a statistic in it or whatever, but they always have a call to action. And I typically go, check my latest post or watch today's episode. Like, I'm literally guiding them where to go next after the story. And it's a fishing lure because, again, it has that really highly visible place at the top of your feed. And Instagram, you can use the exact same strategy on Instagram. So if anything, try that today. Try to do a story. And I always do maybe 2 or 3 a series of 2 to 3 so people can tap through it and have fun with it. Your story, that's a whole other workshop, but it's really super easy to use stories. All you do is jump into anywhere you're a group admin. So if you have a group that you're an admin, or you run a page on Facebook, or just your personal profile, you can do a quick story. Super easy. And half of my stories, it's not even me on camera. So again, going back to that worry, it's a totally real and true and bona fide concern. If you don't like to be on camera, that you don't have to be in your stories. Sometimes I'll just do a series of vignettes that's just graphics. There's like no photo at all, but explore it and watch your numbers when you do that. If anything, just use it as a fishing lure just to get people's attention, right? To push them where you want them to go. It's a super simple strategy. The beautiful thing about stories is it only takes 10 seconds, like to put a couple up. I think you might spend a longer time trying to think of the creative idea you're going to do than actually do it. And it becomes like muscle memory. I can whip a story out super, super quick. But if you need an example of it, look at my story today and you'll see how you kind of connect the dots. Does that make sense? Facebook stories, it's like scrapbooking. And let's say you're like, I don't know if Facebook is right for me. You can do the exact same thing on Instagram, although I think the filters on Facebook are way better. And you can save your stories, and you can save your stories on Instagram too, I believe. You can actually save them and highlight them. That was a big concern before. It's like, I've created this story, it goes nowhere. You can actually save them now to your phone. So you can actually repurpose the heck out of it. Does that make sense? All right, so again, if you're a little nervous about going live, try stories first, get your feet wet, but you'll find that when you start to gather, it's super easy to gather engagement and gather eyeballs. You might as well just try live because you're there anyway. And you don't need a fancy setup like I do. You don't need captions. You don't need lighting, although I've invested in lighting. I've invested in a nice camera. When I first started out, it was this. It was like, you just need one of these. You just need a smartphone to go live. In fact, if you go on my page, you'll see half the time I'm not using this dashboard set up. I'm literally just holding I'm doing a live here. And I kind of like to do that just to keep it real. You guys still with me? How's that sound? Good? All right. So I'm going to shift gears because what I want to talk to you about, and maybe for the next 10 minutes or so, is my course. All right. So Live Show Mastery basically was born out of my major frustration when I started live streaming. And again, 130% engagement, boosted my reach by 10x later, spending a third of my amount of time on social media. So I'm at the tail end of it. I know it works now, but when I first started out, I looked everywhere basically for guidance. You can bet the first thing I did was I jumped on YouTube. I jumped on Google. I was like, there's got to be like a blueprint or like a step-by-step to doing this, right? Or like even a course I could pay to be in, to like to try it out, or like, and there was nothing. I mean, and I think that's an indicator that stories and live streaming is really still anybody's game, the fact that like nothing's been created. So I built my course, Live Show Mastery, out of that frustration. I promised myself, I was like, you know what? All the amount of time I'm going to do to create this, I'm going to track how I do it. I'm going to create a method so that basically anyone can get going sooner, because it took me a long time to get started and find my feet. And I'm just like, I think a lot of people could use live streaming now that frankly you shouldn't have to put up with that headache. All right. So I'm going to show you a little bit about Live Show Mastery. So Live Show Mastery is a course and a community in one. So it's not a traditional course that you have to complete before you go live. And it's not one of those, oh, hey, here's a PDF, go live, and good luck. It's much more than that. So let me go ahead and show you a little bit about what I'm talking about, you guys. It's been fun putting this course together. It's what I think. It's hard to say what I'm the most excited about. I think the one I'm the most excited about is the fact that there is a community element to it. So I've been teaching for ages. I've been in my industry for nearly 20 years, digital marketing, branding. I've taught at universities. I've lectured. I've done millions of PowerPoints. I've done the panels. Okay. And what I have found is that I learn when I am surrounded by others who are learning too. I learn off of other people. So I like a community element to it, but I also like a traditional way of learning. I want stuff served up to me. I want templates that I can use. So that's really how Live Show Mastery was born. So let me show you a little bit about it. Live Show Mastery is pretty simple concept. What you do is every month, it's a monthly membership, and with that, it gives you a toolkit. It gives you access to me. It's you and me working together, and so what I'm doing is kind of workshopping with you, answering your questions. It can get as granular as you want, or you can literally just be plodding yourself through the toolkits. So, and when I say toolkits, I mean this. Toolkits are basically served up to you every month, and in it will be a chapter of things that map back to a theme. So the first month is really about you getting started. And this is going to be everything from, and again, this was my major frustration. I was like, I need an agenda. I need a script. I need an intro. I need an outro. Doesn't someone have this already written out? No. So month one, on day one, when you enroll in the class, you get toolkit number 1. And basically you have 30 days to kind of progress through it, but also jump in the Facebook group and work with me as we troubleshoot it. Month 2, month 3, month 4, every month you're going to be served up with something that builds on the month before. So we do everything from tackle how to book a guest. So literally the emails that you'll write to book your guest, how to pitch, what are some smart tools I use, everything from scheduling to the lighting I might recommend you use, to designing, to making the decision what's in back of me. Also to other things like, how to figure out what the theme of your show should be, which is kind of the next major question, to also figuring stuff out like how to manage a community, how to nurture a community. How do you start conversations with people and show value? So stuff like that. So every month, you're going to be working your way through this whole thing. All right, so I finally got my screen to show you. So let me walk you through here. Bear with. Anything can happen in live, and we're going to switch that. I use a really fun tool called BeLive, by the way, which I talk about in my other lives. So if you're curious what that is, let me get this on a big screen for you. You don't need this to go live, by the way, although it's a fun tool and I can always tell you about it. I am not an affiliate, that I always like to say. All right, so again, Live Show Mastery is a course and community in one. And you pay for the year, and it's in 12 months installments, okay? So it's a little bit more budget friendly. And that was feedback directly from you saying, I want something a little bit more flexible in my budget that can still house a whole course, okay? So you pay for the year, but you do it in monthly installments, just like your subscription to Netflix, just like your subscription to Amazon Prime, okay? And then with that, you get served up on the first of every month, your toolkit, which is PDF, how-tos, technical walkthroughs. Every single video has a transcript. So if you're like me, I actually like to print out the transcript of every course I'm in and highlight because I take notes. But you don't have to print everything out. It's on this great, amazing module, this platform called Kajabi, which basically you enroll and you log in and everything is there. So you can watch all your videos there. You can write comments to me there. And then on the reverse of that, you're in the private Facebook group for Live Show Mastery. So I just did a video on there kind of addressing the, choosing the right format for your show. Will a talk show work? Will straight on work? Will a combination of both work? Stuff like that. Okay, so with that, you get me, you get the community, and you get the course. And then let's say, 12 months from now, ideally, you've created this body of work where you could probably teach my course if you fall in love in Live Show Mastery, like live streaming like I did. Okay, so after 12 months, you still get access to, you're still in the group, you still get access to all your content, and you just end up evolving with the group. So that's really it. That's Live Show Mastery. Like I said, it's all digital friendly. It's a monthly subscription. I'm excited about it because it's the blueprint that I didn't have when I first started, and I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to bring it to you guys. So, And we include topics like Facebook stories. We include topics like real-time content and conversation. We talk about community management. So it's not just one course talking about live streaming, although that's the focus. It talks about everything else that you have to have in place from a strategy standpoint to make sure, again, your time, every second you spend on live streaming and in your show is worth it, okay? Because we all have an objective. We all have something we want to accomplish, whether it's selling something or driving donations or driving subscriptions or raising awareness, okay? So you have the community, you have the course in one, you have the strategy, you have the execution, and you also have kind of that housed into my live streams that happen to you each week, because trends are going to continue to evolve, apps are going to continue to change, algorithms are going to continue to probably frustrate us and turn on a dime. So you're going to get that real-time kind of intel as well, so that again, you don't have to complete the course to launch your show. You're going live, if you follow my directions, you're going live the same day you buy the course. You're going live that night. That's really the goal, okay? And you're going to be going live with confidence. All right, so if you have any other questions about live stream, live show mastery, let me know. Something really important to mention right now is I have an offer that's going to expire tomorrow night at midnight. So if you enter the words "Go Live Now" at checkout, you get your first month, or you get 1 month free, I should say. So we shave a little bit off the top every month. Okay, so you get 1 month free, which is awesome. And I can't offer that beyond tomorrow, but it is on offer now. And I'm not even putting that out there widely. So if you're watching this and you see that, enter "Go Live Now" at checkout and you get a month free. Who doesn't love that, right? Saving you a little dash. All right. So that's Live Show Mastery. That's my course. If you're interested to find out more, I'll put the link in the comments. Again, Go Live Now. It gets you a month free. It's kind of an amazing offer. And with that, you get all the nuts and bolts. How does that sound? Does that sound good? Awesome. What else can I tell you about? Another good tip, if you want to see live streaming in action, that's something a little bit different than this show format, just refresh my Facebook page and go watch the last couple of episodes I had. And you'll see me more in the traditional sense of me interviewing guests. I'm actually solo less than I am actually with guests. So going back to that first question, which show format is right for me, which we address in Toolkit 1 and we get you going right off the bat, is I actually prefer to have guests on. And it's kind of like a Brady Bunch where I'm sharing screens with people, because my show, the topic of my show and my preferred way that I present is sharing the space. But you'll see other live streamers are always solo. It just depends. It depends on what's right for you. If you're a consultant, or if it requires you to be the one on camera, then you really don't need to share the space. For me, I actually prefer to interview people and bring experts on. So a good example of that is, and I only knew this, I didn't know this right off the bat when I first started. Okay, I didn't have a format. A couple weeks ago, I had Brigetti Limbanda on, and she's amazing. So talk about the fulfillment piece for me. This is a little hippie drip, but I love it. Why do I continue to do this? Because I could just focus purely on running ads for my business. That's fine. I know that conversation for me and relating to people is something that not only drives my business, but it actually fulfills me. And Brigetti is a great example of that, and the power of live streaming. So you remember when I said that live streaming, you don't have to sell anything for live streaming to work. Brigetti is an amazing example of it. She is in South Africa. She lives in Cape Town. And if you picked up a copy of USA Today a couple of weeks ago, you probably saw the headline that Cape Town is running out of water. They're in a major water crisis, major drought. So Brigetti has been using live streaming on Facebook to help what at first was just something she was concerned with as a local resident. She's not a paid official. She's not a water expert. She's just what they call a Cape Townian. She's from Cape Town, and she was worried about getting the word out. And it's been amazing to see her grow. I met her because she's a fellow live streamer, and she was and I was honored to have her on my show. Well, now she's being contacted by major media. She's playing a major role in bringing people together, talking about the crisis as it continues to get global awareness. So if you want to be an influencer, and maybe you're not selling anything, or maybe you have an organization, or maybe you want to demonstrate an expertise, she's a great example of live streaming is just the technology. It's just the tool now to get your message out. And And now it's really serving her and raising awareness for this important cause. So I always like to bring Brigetti up because, you know, it's one thing to just use this as a platform to sell, but she's a great example of using the platform to really create what I always say, positive change. And that's a bigger idea of what live streaming can do. Okay. So you can see my interview with Brigetti if you just scroll back on my page or scroll down, you'll see it. I think at last count we had 6.4 thousand views or something. So it's one of my most viewed episodes. When I first started out, did I think I'd get those views? Heck no. Did I think I'd be talking, to someone across the world? No. But live streaming really, it's something I love. And so hopefully, if you're still with me watching this, or if you've watched it through the replay and you're still hanging on with me, give it some hard consideration, whether it's for your brand or your business, or if anything else, find a live streamer and just start watching their show and supporting their show. Because I guarantee you're not going to stop hearing about the importance of live streaming. So you might as well get on the bandwagon now. And you're going to start to see in the next 6 months, 12 months, more influencers are going to actually come from the live streaming space. So watch this space. It's very, very exciting, right? All right, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Rebecca. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you if you posted your questions to me. I got a lot of private messages and DMs since my last air. So hopefully I answered all your questions now. If I didn't, put it in the comments, and I promise to answer there. I'll also link to my course if you want to hear more about it. And then if you have other questions in general, whether it's from my past episodes or whatnot, you guys, just let me know. I'm good. I love this medium. I'm always going to talk about it. You can catch me every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific is my normal air time. And so if you want to actually grab me live and have me answer some of your questions you have live, you can catch me then. All right. Okay, guys, I'm going to let you go. Have a beautiful day. Happy live streaming. Happy storytelling. And I can't wait to see you online. All right, you guys, have a good one. Take care. Bye. Happy live streaming. Happy storytelling. Yeah. That was almost an hour. Amazing. I can still talk about this all day, you guys.